Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Influencers Project. I'm your host, Craig Reynolds, and with me today is one of my oldest friends, Mr. Ryan Yarborough. Ryan, how are you today?
I'm wonderful, man, and I appreciate you taking me back that far. We're telling our age already in the interview.
Ryan, you are one of my friends that I don't remember not having in my life because we've been friends since grade school. Like we were little, and I just don't
Yeah,
remember that time.
yeah.
So I can't even think of a time without you being around or just knowing you. But your story is still fascinating because you are always very reserved, very humble, very successful, but yet you weren't very braggadocious. So I'm gonna have to brag on you because you're one of the greatest athletes, all around athletes that I've ever seen, right? I think in high school you
Appreciate
played
that.
basketball, you played football, you um, played baseball. You did everything, and you could rifle a ball so well. Like it was scary when you would wind up, and I'm like, oh man. I told you the story. I was playing first base in gym, and I was like, why am I in the infield? I need to be out there anyway, shagging balls. I was like, I'm gonna play in the infield once. You were playing like third base, and someone hit a softball. It was like a big 16-inch softball, so it was a massive ball. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, well, Ryan got it. I'm going to go over to first base. And I'm standing there, no mitts, but I saw you wind up and you like brought it from the ground and just, I could hear it sizzling out of your hand. And I thought, oh, good Lord, I can't catch this. My hands aren't that big. And I tried to catch it and bring it in and it bounced off my hand so bad, like I had brick hands. It was terrible. But I remember thinking, I need to get out of here. I can't catch that ball. This is why I don't play baseball. Forget it.
Oh man,
But
you had my cheeks up here hurting already, man, laughing so much.
But it's true, man. You
Oh
were
man.
outstanding as an athlete back then, even from a young age. And athletics was something that seemed like it came natural to you. What was that influence for you early on that you brought that to your own existence?
Well, initially, I mean, I was fortunate to grow up in an athletic family. Both my father and my uncle played college football. So it was something I was always right at both of their hips. So it was something that I always wanted to do, but I always wanted to go past where they went because, just evolution,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like anything y'all did or y'all can do, I can do better. So that was my mentality. And where we grew up at, everybody joined in. If you can get on the field, then hey, guess what? You better be playing because I don't care if you're 8 or 9 years old and you're playing with somebody that's 14 or 15. You better come with it because they might not be sticking you one on one, but you're on that same field as they are. So if you don't produce, you're not either two things. Either you're gonna get your head knocked off or you're gonna be on the sidelines crying, wishing that you were in the game. Yeah.
You know,
So those
it,
those are my motivations. Yeah.
and it's true of our town that we grew up in Park Forest that it was such a neat nucleus and an all-inclusive kind of a place that if you showed up to play, you're going to play, right? And like you said, they're not going to play down to your level. You better bring your game up. The same thing when I was
Exactly.
racing bikes. We'd go to the trails and people are like, you need to jump that. I'm like, I'm only 10. They're like, you need to jump that. I'm like, okay, I'll jump it.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Right. So I
Right.
think that
Right.
that
Oh,
push
get
was
on.
very good for us. Right. So let's
Absolutely.
fast forward. Let's get into high school because
Uh-huh.
that's when I remember being on the sidelines of the football games and you would blur past, dropping balls like Jamie Pass throwing balls and you just just basket catching balls over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Um, Entertaining, like so much fun to watch. That was such a good group of people. What were those practices like, and what was that push like? Because I mean, we had a great a coach back then as
Class.
well.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. We had a great class. We had a great coach. And to answer your question, practice was like game. It was like game was like dress rehearsal. Okay. Because off of our team, we had four guys that went Division 1. Quarterback was all Midwest. Our defensive back, Carlos, he was all American. So I was going up against that type of talent. on a daily basis. And like you said, to top it off, our coach was not going to let us underutilize our talent. So it was like it was a battle every day. You know, it used to be fights, and everything was in house. You know, because we once again, like I said, we had a strong class. So Coach Lombardi would let us handle ourselves, basically. You know, so he would let us govern ourselves. He would let us do pretty much whatever we needed because we were actually the first ones to get our last names and have single digits on our jerseys. Okay, and he said that because he knew, because we didn't have single digits but before our senior year, and he told our group, hey man, you guys handle your business. You continue to handle your business. Order these single digit jerseys for you and we'll take it from there. But to answer your original question, man, yeah, it was very intense. And, those guys that I mentioned, they went on to have their careers in college as well. So it was a nonstop battle, to say the least.
Nice. Give me a time, obviously you're a wide receiver. Carlos is probably sticking you the whole time in practice. So that's elevating your game, right?
Yes.
It had to have made it easier when you played anyone else that was a defensive back that was trying to stick you. Because you're a big guy, too. You were like one of the earlier big receivers. I mean, what are you, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, exactly. I'm 5'14". I'm 5'14". No, but I'm with no shoes. Yeah, with no shoes, flat foot. I'm 6'2". Mm-hmm.
Right. So so we're gonna say you're 6'4" when you're in your cleats, and you're going up against Carlos. You got Jamie throwing you these excellent balls. That was another level of practice. Like I said, your game time had to be way easier because of that battle. And what a wonderful gift they were giving you, right?
Yeah, it is a blessing, and I found that out once I made it to fast forward to rewinding back. When I made it to the pros, my coach, he was like my father in the league. He would tell me, the competition brings out the best. And I never really looked at it that way because I was always fortunate of playing around with better competition or competition to my level that made me better. So I never really even looked at it like that. It was like, I'm just used to playing against good competition, so I never realized that it made me better actually as well. So yeah, it was nonstop, man. Football, basketball, because we all played year round too. So it was a battle all year round, but definitely in football because you can actually knock somebody's head off once you're in between the lines and get away with it. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll help you out. Oh, my fault, man. Help you out. But no, man, you did that on purpose.
Right. Now, did you guys hold back at all in practice on your teammates, or was it fair game? Because obviously you don't want to hurt people. You don't want to hurt your teammates.
Right. Exactly. But it was definitely fair game because once again, you had to go into the locker room right after practice. And that was all the talk. It's like, man, he burned you up or he defended you up. He locked you up real good. And it's like, I'm not trying to hear any of that. Okay. So I'm going all out. Whoever's going against me is going all out. Okay. Because that's another thing too. You wasting my time. Don't be out here on the field with me either. And you playing around and you're not giving me a good look. That's not making me any better either. So I was ready to go up against competition. I wanted to go up against competition. So that's how that worked.
Well, and you guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were all three offered a ride to University of Illinois, but you opted against that and you wanted to go somewhere else, right?
You remember that? Man?
I heard that. I'm like, wow, that'd be a pretty nice nucleus to get together. But
that's funny, man, that you remember that because like I said, we were all year round. Okay, so during the basketball season, all right, and I don't want to put any shun on the program too much, but Lovey Smith has them in good hands right now, and I also have a couple of students, a couple of guys that I coach that play on the team.
Nice.
Right now, but this was back in the late 80s, in the early 90s, okay? And And once again, Coach Lombardi, he still had an influence on us, although it was basketball season. And he said, unless you really, really want to go there, try looking at other places as well, because, which I didn't know back then, I was green, still wet behind the ears in a lot of areas. That coaching staff, and in particular, the recruiter that was recruiting us, he was, they try to say coaches are used car salesmen. He definitely was a used car salesman.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
And yeah, he definitely was a used car salesman. And he didn't have a good relationship, with our head coach. And not saying that was the reason why I didn't go to Illinois. I had other reasons that I didn't want to go to Illinois personally anyway. So it was like looking to other avenues, because that wasn't the only school that was recruiting us either. Okay. Sure. So it was like, I really wanted to get away from home. I wanted to get out of the house. Even though we were the young guys back home playing around on the field with older guys, I was the oldest in house. And my brothers had started accumulating in the house, like every couple of years. And it was like, wait a minute, it's like I could barely even walk in the house. But yeah. But I wanted to get away. But that's, man, you're taking me back. I almost forgot that. He used to come to basketball practice. Yeah, he used to come to basketball practice and get us out of practice, which was cool. I didn't have any problems with that, because they'd give us a few minutes break out of practice. But he'll call one guy, then he'll call another guy, then he'll call another guy. And it was like, what he say? I mean, because we were all close friends too.
Yeah.
So it was like, you couldn't run any. Yeah, so it was like you couldn't run any BS on us, because we know that you're selling this guy a dream and that guy a different dream and me a totally different dream. So it's like we'll decline graciously. We'll decline.
Right, and then that brought you out to Wyoming.
Yes, that's what brought me to Wyoming.
Had you really left the house and traveled at all before you went out there, or was this your first time really being out?
Yeah. No, and I was fortunate. To travel earlier once again doing with basketball and baseball.
That's right.
Because like I said, football was the last sport, because like I said, when we take us back, in our relationship, me and your relationship go back to Forest Trail, our junior high school. Yeah. I went to Puerto Rico. Yeah, I went to Puerto Rico in '84 in my seventh grade year. Small fry, played against guys, like Nicky Van Exel. He was my competition. In small fry. So it was one of those things where it's like I had a great experience at an early age. Went to Puerto Rico for a week and got a chance to get different culture, and it was just an amazing trip. So when by the time I went to Wyoming, I had traveled, basketball, baseball took me places too. And I was trying to get as far away from home as possible. And that's what it came down to. I mean, I was fortunate. Wyoming had a lot of guys from around our house playing out there too. And my roommate, he was our senior year, he was the player of the year. The star player of the year, and I believe he was the Tribune player of the year also. But that was my actual roommate, my first roommate in college. So it was a connection that I had, and it went along with my my strengths. Because they passed the ball, it was wide open out there.
Right.
So I was like, hey, let's go do it. And my main mentor at Wyoming, I always give him praise. His name is Sean Wicks. He was a senior when I was a freshman. He went to Richards High School, one of our rival high schools. And he was already down there and everything was established. And he kept me out of as much trouble as he possibly could, but he paved the way for me, down there my first year or two.
Okay. And while you're in Wyoming, what was that like, being far away? You've got this big sky, wide open. You don't have as many restrictions as we had at home. What was it in your mindset where you're like, I got to keep it together because there's bigger things? Because when I was younger, I remember telling myself, don't screw up, you're going to turn pro. And if you mess up, you're not going to be able to do what you want to do. So keep it all buttoned up. What was that conversation like for yourself?
Well, initially, man, I didn't have that conversation with myself because
Yes.
my first couple of years, I was in and out of a lot of trouble, just for the simple fact, not doing dumb stuff, but it's a simple fact. I wasn't in Chicago anymore, and it's like, hey, we don't do this, out here in Wyoming, you're not in Chicago anymore. So it was an adjustment. It was an adjustment more than anything. And also it was like, okay, I can't go home over the weekend. And what I mean by that is, I had a great trip. I had a great recruiting trip up there. It's like, okay, you're here now. You actually live here now. So you can't go anywhere. You have to deal with the circumstances. You chose to come here. Okay, it's a different atmosphere, all right, and you have to deal with it. So ball actually, obviously kept me out of a lot more trouble than I could have gotten into because I had to remain focused. But to answer your question, after my freshman year, I would have to say that because I had some success my freshman year. The guys, once again, we were a senior-led team. And we came out 9-0, and we were ranked across the nation, everything like that. But then we lost our last 4 games, including the bowl game. And I personally, I was not used to losing like that, and I didn't care if I was a freshman or not. In the locker room, I was going off, I was going crazy. It's like I'm not used to losing like this, okay? And after that, I knew my presence. I mean, I had a presence as a freshman, but coming on after that, my sophomore year was when I really expected myself to become more of a leader and to have more of an integral part on the team, put some more weight on my shoulders.
Well, and you did, because what were the years that you set? You set a lot of records out there, right?
Yeah. I set a few records.
What records did you set?
Man,
this is the humble part that I'm
trying to
get right now.
Well, I set some records, but I don't have a touchdown record. I have some NCAA records as well. But the two, put it this particular way, I don't know if I still have the 200-yard record, but I had 7 games with over 200 yards. And that's something that was important to me because, some of those games only had like 4 or 5 catches. Okay. And that's what important to me. Yards after the catch and touchdowns. I still have a touchdown record. I still, had the most touchdowns in Wyoming history. I know that for a fact for a receiver. But those were some of the ones. But see, I always did that because, once again, like you said, you knew you were going pro. I wasn't at Michigan. I wasn't at Notre Dame or USC. Okay, so I had to keep going and going and going to stay noticed. So it was times where I was like, man, I don't feel like going to practice, which sometimes I didn't, and I got trouble. But like I said, after my sophomore year or during my sophomore year, I was like, hey, man, you get a chance to go, to the next level, and that's what you want to do. So that's when I really, started buffering some of my ways and getting my act together a little bit, because my coach before, after my freshman year, he used to call me Sweet Pea. He said, man, you're going to be playing on Sundays, but you need to start getting your act together off the field, and start staying out of trouble, because you'll notice that people leave. Okay, they're either going to be there. You're going to see a lot of people come and go those first 2 years. Okay, and half of my buddies were gone. Like, my first roommate was gone after 2 years. Okay, right. And then once I became upperclassman, I used to see a lot of the young guys leave, and I'll never forget that. So I was like, okay, and once again, like I said, I had brothers back at home. I had younger family. I had people looking at me, and by me being the oldest, they might not necessarily depend on me per se, but being the oldest, I feel responsible for them. So I had to start changing. Yeah, I had to start changing in a few ways. Off the field more so, because on the field, like I said, I was used to playing against older people and better competition. So when it came to that, I learned some tricks and I tightened my chin strap up a little bit, but I was never overwhelmed on the field. Even my freshman year, I wasn't overwhelmed.
And what a solid group of guys that allowed you to have that space to be able to speak what you needed to speak and elevate the team at an early age, which was, I'm sure, part of the reason why you got drafted into the NFL by the Jets.
The New York Jets, that is correct.
There you go, correct. Right? Testaverde was your quarterback too, right?
Yeah, Benny was my quarterback when I was with Baltimore. Boomer was my initial quarterback. In New York, Boomer was my initial quarterback.
So Esiason threw you your first touchdown pass.
Yeah, against the Minnesota Vikings at Minnesota in the Dome. I remember that. Yeah.
Do you have the ball?
Not with me. Not with me. It's somewhere in the collection put up.
Got it. What was the route? Give me that play. Break that down for me, because I want to hear this. This is awesome. I've never had the chance to ask this question. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. It was a slant route. Okay, and we were down.
You were wide out,
in the red zone.
Were you a wide out or you were slot?
I was wide out. This particular play, I was wide out. We were in the red zone. It wasn't a deep pass or anything like that. He just happened to catch me in the back of the end zone, and he threw it pretty good too. Because I had to go out and I had to pluck it. I had to go out and get them. It wasn't like on my chest or anything like that. He had kind of led me to the back of the end zone, and I had to run in there and I had to snag it with my hands, and I looked up. I was in the end zone, and then I started doing a little shake. Started dancing a little bit, because I like to have fun. I like to have fun on the field, okay? Right. I like to have fun. And like you say, I try to be as humble as possible and reserved. I learned that from my father at an early age. But certain things you can't hold back all the time. So when I get excited, when I really, really get excited, I'm going to let you know. And I'm going to have fun with it. And and take it from there. People are like, wait a minute, I didn't know you had that characteristic in you. It's like, I'm just concentrating on my job right now.
Right. I'm keeping it together. So exactly.
Yeah. Like I'm supposed to be out here, but when I score, when I do something exciting, I'm going to have some fun with that as well.
Well, and I think there's being humble is an honorable thing, but I think also at the same time, doing something that excites you and expressing that excitement, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, man. When I would win big races, I was a fool. Like I was like, I'd never been there before, right? Because I was so excited because the work is so hard. And then when you finally accomplish it, you're just like, yes! Like so excited about that. And that's a wonderful thing, because I think people should also see that as well, that it's okay to be happy and thrilled that you accomplished something. Because, man, not a lot of people, I'll never catch a touchdown. Ain't gonna happen. So I love to see people that hard work that they can be excited about that, right? I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember that. I got that picture in my mind when you came into the end zone. I remember it. I remember seeing it. I think I saw it on SportsCenter, actually. I was like, oh, shit, awesome. Yeah, I think that's where I saw it.
Yes, I know that guy right there. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I know him, right? Exactly.
Yeah, man.
So then you went from the Jets to Baltimore. Is that where your career took you to? Okay. How was that?
Yes.
What was, how have all of these influences that you had accrued over the years, when you went to Baltimore, what were you able to pull off of and use while you were there?
My experiences from New York, being a professional, okay? And once again, once I left from New York to Baltimore, it was a transitional time in my life as well, because that's when I, was starting to have a family.
Mm,
Okay. So I really had to tighten my chin strap up even more again. Okay.
right.
And
That's a different
when I
program.
went, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And when I went to Baltimore, it was ironic because that's where I was born at. My father went to
Really?
Morgan State. My father went to
Okay.
Morgan State. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I was a college baby. I was a college baby. So I was born there, lived on campus first couple of years of my life, but I couldn't recall any of that. I just
Sure.
always knew I was born in Baltimore. And my father was like he was, very, 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 very close to staying in Baltimore, but my mom wanted to come back to Chicago, around the rest of the family. So that's how all that worked. So when I went to Baltimore, it was just a surreal feeling like, okay, I heard about Baltimore, I read about Baltimore, I've studied about Baltimore, and I'm actually here, my birthplace. So it was a great feeling. Once again, the success of the team at that particular time, we're going through, changes. So
Hmm.
our success wasn't there like what it is now. But met some great guys out there in Baltimore. To this day, still has the best seafood out of any place that I've ever been. Hands down. The Chesapeake Bay. Oh man, great, great, great seafood. Um, yeah, man. Yeah, yeah.
Do you
But
get to go back and
Baltimore,
visit?
Baltimore was a.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I
No,
said,
no,
do you
I
get?
didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I do get a chance.
Yeah. Is it like a team invite kind of a thing where they bring people back, or how does that work for
Mhm.
you guys?
Yeah, they have that in New York and they have that in Baltimore. First time I
Cool.
went back to New York was last year. I haven't been to Baltimore yet, but usually I just go to games or I just go back to the city because I've mentored and I've coached, some guys that are in the NFL right now, so I just pop up on them or catch up with them or give them a call and
Yep.
and go and do it like that because I like just like you, I'm a team guy, but I'm individual definitely, and I
Right.
like doing things on my own accord. Yeah, I like just popping up,
See
leaving
that
out,
see that's what
yeah,
we do. I
what
got
I
my
mean?
own drummer. I've always got my own drummer. I don't even hear the drums,
Yeah,
man. I just
yeah.
do what I do. I can't help myself. So let's move on to that because I also want to talk about your book,
Hmm.
but I do want to hear about how you got
Hmm.
into becoming a mentor for other players.
Hmm.
Like that's big because
Hmm.
you've got a wealth of knowledge to share with people. And I would say
Hmm.
knowledge is useless unless you share it.
Right. Exactly. You can't just like money. You can't leave with it. It's gonna be gone when you leave. So you have to spread it. Yeah, you have to spread it while you're here. Now,
Yep.
getting into the mentor thing, it's just a natural progression. Going back to college, that's when I really started.
Mm,
Because when I was a senior, like we said, I set records in college, and what happened was when I went off to the pros, the younger guys, would come over, would always come over to my house. Okay, on Thursday, I was the president of the Black Student Union down in Wyoming. So every Thursday, the guys used to come through. Okay, and the young ladies, everybody on sports teams used to come through. And what happened was I used to just raise those guys up like I was raised up. It was a natural thing for me because I'm the oldest of seven as well.
hmm
So it's just a natural thing for me. So when I went off to the pros, the guy that broke some of my records was a freshman, and he came right behind me, a couple of years behind me. He broke a lot of my records, and I talked to him, I helped him off the field because obviously, I can't play for him, and I would never take away from his abilities or anything like that. But I used to try to mold him and help him out on the mental status, tell him things, well, how they were going to try to interview you, how they were going to try to get you off their game, what you need to do, off the field. okay, and things of that nature. So it started then. You know, when you come from and you come from a certain area and you were brought up a certain way, it's just a natural thing for me, you know, because why would I hold on to information to help somebody get over a hump that I couldn't necessarily get over? Okay. Because because when I was in the process of breaking records, some of the guys that had the record called me and talked to me, you know, and I figured out, you know, one thing they used to tell me, records are meant to be broken. So that's another thing. It's like, hey man, yeah, I got records, but you doing good. I want you to break, you know, but get your own records, you know, set your own records, you know, and so on and so forth. And leading up to now, to this day, you know, these guys, I mean, obviously I'm old enough to be their father. I have daughters, you know, that are older than some of the guys that are in the NFL right now. So, you know, when I come back now I'm the OG, now I'm the guy, you know, yeah, we heard about you. Yeah, we know about you. You know, you got anything on what do they call it, on the internet right now? I'm like, well, YouTube wasn't out like that, you know, when I was there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I have some things, but I don't have every catch like you do on YouTube. Right. You know what I mean? Anything like that. Yeah. So, you know, it was basic. Bottom line, man, it was a natural progression because I'm the oldest of seven. And I always appreciated the guys that helped raise me up. So therefore, when there's younger guys around me, I spread the knowledge to them. Now, what you do with it, that's on you, you know, but you cannot say that, you know, there's somebody, I'm never the type, put it this way, because I grew up around a lot of older people too, not just playing ball. Maybe I grew up with my uncles, my dad, their friends, and things like that. So I was the young guy that used to sit around and listen and soak up a lot of knowledge. Right. And I'm not the type of guy that's going to let somebody, I'm not the type of guy that's going to sit down and know there's a hole around the corner and not let you know about it. You know, I'm the type of, hey, look at that hole, watch out, there's a hole around the corner. Now, if you fall in that hole, that's on you, because I told you, you know, I told you that it was going to be there. Okay. Now, if you choose to fall into it or walk into it, that's on you. Okay. Right. But I'm not the type to know it was something around the corner and won't tell you. Okay. Right. But so that's bottom line. That's, I got into it.
I love how you said the natural progression, how it all happens. It's just innately in you. Is that some of what's in your book as well? Because you told me you wrote a book, which is awesome. I had no idea that was coming, but now I know. I expect a signed copy. I'm gonna buy it. Look at that.
You're in there. You're in there.
Baby right there. Your baby.
Yeah, man. That was the New York days. I was on that picture. I was about 23. That was about 25 years ago. At least 25 years ago.
So what's the book about?
The book basically is about, man. Well, the title of it is "Believe So You Can Achieve." Okay. One of my favorite books growing up was The Little Engine That Could. Okay. And I used to complain. You know, I was a complainer when I was a little kid because I didn't know any better. You know, I look back at it now, I was like, I used to complain a lot. And my dad, like I said, he's calm and reserved. After a while, he'd just be like, look, man, don't even come around me. Don't even talk to me unless you have something positive to say. You know, I'm tired of hearing you say, I can't do this, I can't do that. Okay. And one of the books that he bought me was The Little Engine That Could. You know, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I know I can. Okay. Until you know you can. And that inspired me even still to this day, you know, because some of my book has to do with that. And what I mean by that is the book is to help you get to the next level, whatever level you at, whether you're a CEO, whether you're just starting off in business, whether you don't know anything about business or whatever, not just business, but life, okay? Help you get to the next level from where you're at right now. And it has obviously a lot of inspirational quotes and inspirational views. These are my personal views because I didn't want to write an autobiography or anything like that. But
Sure.
with what's going on in the times and where we're at right now, these are some basic principles that'll help you get through your daily life. Because even myself, and I can't speak for you, but I mean, you are a successful guy in a lot of different ways and had success throughout your whole life. But you're going through things as well. I mean, I'm not just talking about personal. I mean, I can't talk about your personal life, but just mentally, with what we're going through right now.
Yes.
In the world, everybody is being affected by what's going on in the world. I don't want to give it too much energy or any energy really right now, whether it's social justice, okay, whether it's, the pandemic that they have going on. Everybody's going through things. And it's ironic. I completed this book at the end of 19, and I started getting it published in the beginning, right before, the pandemic had really kicked off. Yeah, so it was like, I didn't forget about it or anything like that, but it was like so many other things going on that I kind of held it, under a rug for the time being, because like, hey, we don't know and still don't necessarily know what's happening,
Sure.
Right. or it's going to happen. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, but getting back to the book, man, it's an easy read. So once you learn how to read, I mean, even grade schoolers can read it. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want it to be so off the end of the charts where only a specific group of people can read it, okay, right, or could understand it. All right. Mm-hmm. So that's what it comes down to, man. It comes down to its basic principles that help me get to the top level of my profession, and it still helps me get through life right here and now. Okay, so it's a feel-good book, it's an inspirational book, and it'll give you some direction in certain areas as well.
I can see you being a public speaker or keynote speaker at any moment. So whenever you come to town, make sure you look me up so we can get together. It's gonna happen. I know better.
Well, hey man, I already know. I already know. I just have to find the dirt trails and the hills. If you're not out there riding, I know you got little man. Riding.
It's funny. So that fool can get on his bike and ride. He rides so good, it's crazy. And every once in a while, he's like, "Daddy, when are we going to the BMX track?" And I'm like,
"Yeah." It's
23 years there. At some point, he's gonna. Well, I'll take him out there and see if he likes it or not. But we'll see. I saw him pop his head over here a second ago too. But good, whenever you're in town, I gotta get you. I gotta introduce you to a couple of my people too that might be really beneficial for some of that as well. So
absolutely.
Where can people get your book, man? Where can they get your book?
Yeah. My book is at www.yarborough, and that's YAR, B as in boy, RO, and the number 16.com. I'll repeat that again. Yarborough16.com. YAR, B as in boy, RO, the number 16.com. That's the website of the book. Yeah.
Can they get a hold of you through there as well if someone sees this and they want to bring you in for a speaking engagement or anything?
Absolutely. And all my handles is what are, they can write me a comment there or leave me a message. And all my handles all on social media are the same thing too. Yarborough 16. Okay. I'm by my government name on LinkedIn, obviously, Ryan Yarborough. But Twitter and Instagram, I am Yarborough 16, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, my official name.
Okay, perfect. Well, Ryan, Thank you for the time today. It has been so awesome to catch up with you. Like I said, I can't remember a time without you in my life some way, somehow. So it's so nice to actually see your face and chat with you about some of your history and your background stuff that I didn't know about. So thanks for sharing that.
Hey, I appreciate the time, man. I appreciate the platform, and most importantly, I appreciate you, man. So continued success unto you, and continue to be a great father that you are.
Thanks. Much love, brother. I appreciate that. If you guys like what you're seeing, please make sure that you subscribe right here on YouTube. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, subscribe there as well. Ryan, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you on the stage sometime soon.
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate you.